Welcome everyone to the Sushi Swap MISO AMA, where we talk with projects who have launched through the MISO platform. Today, we have Sam from Manifold Finance joining us. How are you today?
Doing well. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for joining us here. And yeah, I think a lot of people are really anticipating this AMA and what you've got to share. So, yeah, do you mind just first off here, just give us a little bit about who you are, your background, and current involvement with the project?
Yeah. Obviously, my name is Sam Basha. I'm the founder or co-founder of Manifold Finance. Uh, my background is heavily in crypto for the last 5 to 6 years. My I've also had another project called Freight Trust, which has been acquired by a company called Deliver This just recently. My co-founder Sandy's his background is in HFT trading.
Mm-hmm.
He's also our lead developer in the Y Cabal strategy. And then the other members are Brian and Aldo. Uh, they come from 41 North, and then Florian and Jonas, who are DevOps people, and then Michael, who's one of our facility engineers. And that rounds out the team for Manifold Finance. So yeah, that's the team, and we're very excited, obviously, to be launching Y Cabal, which is an arbitrage MEV engine that aims to refund and eliminate transactional costs from traders for using Sushi Swap and MISO potentially as well. So yeah, that's our first offering, and then we have some other things planned for the Sushi Swap community, and I'm sure we can get into some of those and tease some of the details for those additional strategies and solutions for the entire ecosystem. But yeah,
Yeah,
that's
awesome.
a quick overview.
Yeah, wicked. It sounds like you guys are relatively stacked in as far as your technical side and experience and whatnot. So that's amazing. Sounds like you guys have got a good team going. With the
Yeah,
yeah with
thank
the
you.
yeah with the with the Y Cabal, are you able to kind of give us some details on how it all works, or kind of a little more of the
Yeah.
mechanics behind it?
So so basically for version one, it's a refund and rebate system in which trades are submitted to our RPC, a private and permissioned RPC endpoint. We call it a virtualized mempool, in which we have direct connections with mining pools. We then submit those trades in a to our main arbitrage engine, which is built on the main business logic is built in a language called Q, which
Mm-hmm.
is what powers the database engine called KDB Plus. It's a highly performant uh, column-based database, which is designed for high-frequency trading and time series database applications. So it's like the perfect application
Oh yeah.
use case for it. Uh, Once it's bundled, well, let me back up real quick. If the trade is eligible to be bundled, it will be processed through that. If for some reason the trade does not match our parameters, it's immediately passed to the mining pools. So there's no latency involvement in if the trade is not eligible to be bundled. It'll be just passed straight through. That's obviously because we're not trying to reject and have people resubmit. It'll automatically be submitted, and that means every trade, no matter if it gets bundled or not, at least has some protection against front running because it's
Right.
privately submitted. It's not publicly disseminated into the public mempool.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an immediate benefit for all trades. Once if the trade is processed, what happens is for that bundle, the profit is split between Sushi Swap users, and then the remaining surplus is split between the mining pools and Manifold token holders.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the Sushi traders get priority on the profit, and then the remaining surplus is then refunded to us. That's version one. Version two will actually have a heuristics based on account usage. So we'll be able to actually predict uh, with a certain degree of confidence whether or not you're likely to resubmit a transaction based on your previous transactional history on mempool submissions.
Mm-hmm.
That data set comes from a company called Block Native that we're
Mm-hmm.
partnered with to provide that information. Once that goes live, what basically it means is you'll be able to submit trades without having any ETH based on your transactional history of your account. So as long as you're trading on the same account somewhat consistently, you'll be eligible to not have to pay for gas costs up front.
Wow.
So that's version 2 of the system, and we expect that to start testing in late July after the initial production rollout of version 1.
Wow, that's incredible. That sounds amazing.
Yeah,
Uh, we, I'm
yeah.
sure a lot of people are going to be excited about that, and I really hope that unfolds as just as how you've described. Because wow.
No pun intended.
uh, Earlier, just before this here, you had mentioned eligibility for a swap or for a trade. What kind of parameters are involved there?
As
What's
long as there's not a lot of slippage
mm,
and it's in an eligible, the main parameter basically is whether or not it's in an eligible pool.
mhm.
So for the initial rollout, we're only covering like 10 the top 10 to 25 pools
Got it.
on
Okay.
Sushi. Uh, After that, it'll be rolled out to every eligible market
Hmm.
as long as the market's been active for at least a month and has a certain amount of liquidity
Right.
and volume. So, and part of that will also be extended to MISO projects. So, if a MISO project launches and deposits a certain amount of liquidity onto Sushi after the MISO launch,
Mm-hmm.
they'll have that benefit as well, and then they'll also have
Okay.
additional benefits that we're working on, such as credit card and debit card purchases and that sort of thing. So, but that sort of stuff is to be announced in the next week or two.
Oh wow. Okay. Okay. One thing I just
Yeah.
want to mention here, just as we're going through, anybody that has questions as we go along, please raise your hand. Use the down at the bottom there. You should have a request to speak hand button, and you can press that, and we can get you up on stage here as we go through this. We've also got the AMA text questions channel, which I see that there's some questions coming through, so I thank you for that. So maybe we'll just touch on a couple there. Which pairs are included in the beta? We kind of discussed having 10 to 25 and just kind of the top ones. So maybe that kind of covers that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll put a list as well
Mm-hmm.
out later today, just so it's clear for everybody. But yeah, it should be the top 10 to 25.
Got it. Cool. For participants that are already in the beta program, can we add more liquidity after today, or is it just from the time we snapshotted? So,
No. It should be. The way it works is it's based on, I think, the mean or average liquidity that you've had during the period of time. So
okay. And maybe while we're just talking about liquidity providing everything, you've got the LP beta program that's you recently announced. You want to discuss that a little bit for everyone?
Maddie's actually in the channel.
Oh,
He should be the best person to
Maddie,
discuss it, since he's the one who designed it.
perfect.
I know it's based off of Euler Network's LP incentive program.
Uh-huh.
So if we could get Maddie potentially
Maddie,
to
I've given you
lift
a
some weight.
request to join. Let's get you up here. Don't be shy. Come on, Maddie. Maddie, there's
You brought it on yourself, buddy. It's basically a time weighted program. With the longer you LP, the bigger proportion of the incentives you get. So
okay.
it incentivizes people to keep the liquidity in,
Mm-hmm.
and then the excess profits are to be distributed to those who provide liquidity during this period of time.
Okay.
We might do some additional things after the initial beta program ends, since it's a short period. We just wanted to see how it rolls out, and how much participation is actually involved.
Right. Okay. Yeah, and I was seeing like just percentage wise, I remember reading about this, like the in the profits there of all this, it was 90% USDC and then 10% of X Sushi.
Yep,
Yeah.
which should
Awesome.
help, not only with taxes but in calculating an APY easier.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. So, okay, going back into the text channels here, and again, if anyone else has questions, please raise your hand in the voice chat, and we can get you up on stage here. And then, as far as let's see here, where do we see the rewards, and how frequently do we see the rewards?
the reward payouts should be every 2 weeks
Okay.
or monthly. So for full tokens, it'll be every month, and then for the LP program, it'll be by the end of the month.
Okay. Okay. Moving along here with what are the fees for using Y Cabal, and is additional fee or
There
does
are
it
no
work no
fees.
fees?
There are no fees. This is not
Just,
like Mystex
yeah, this is
or ArcherDAO or whatever. I don't think Mystex charges a fee, but there's no fees for using Y Cabal. In fact, you get paid. Technically, you get refunded a portion of your transactional fee up to almost 100%. So,
so
if anything, it's almost getting paid to trade
so
potentially.
negative fees rather than
Yeah.
positive
Well,
fees.
not negative fees,
Well, yeah, maybe
because
that's the wrong word.
it's not like negative interest. Yeah,
Right, yeah.
but it could potentially be that.
Anyways, yeah, just a yeah, much different system where you're not paying, you're actually getting paid. So that's incredible.
Right?
This
Yeah.
yeah, this is all right. Next one, has the beta started? Yes, you guys. Yeah, beta has already started, as we've discussed here. What will be the next strategy be released after Y Cabal besides the V2 of Y Cabal?
It'll be the credit. So the next strategy will be actually a credit card or a fee processing strategy.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Yeah, that sounds pretty interesting. With being able to kind of create a bit of an on ramp then.
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. Okay. With one question I kind of had here too was like with ordering the TXs, like how does that kind of work to create like positive slippage? Like you could kind of do that, hey? Sam. Oh, we've lost Sam. We'll have to let's try and get him back in here. Maddie, if you're available, maybe let's get you back up on. Let's get you on stage here. Oh, there's Sam. Invite. Well, there you go, Sam. Lost you. Oh, all right.
Hey.
Hey, we've got,
Hey, how's it going?
awesome. We've got Sam and Maddie now. Awesome.
Apologies.
All good.
Hey, how's it going?
Really good. Really good. Now that we've got you up here, Maddie, do you want to discuss further on what Sam was touching on there with the? I think it was kind of regards to the LP beta program.
Yeah, sure. So I think originally, when we were in the early stages, we were talking about just token delegation, but it actually makes more sense to, have a bootstrap liquidity program. On top of that, Sushi's running a
All right.
on top
Sorry.
of it. Yeah, me and Mike real quick, Sam. On top of that, we have the Sushi program that's already running, which is WETH and Fold, right? So it's kind of like a double benefit where you can stake for LP, to get a portion of the profits that comes from the Y Cabal strategy, and then also you can stake into the Sushi pool to get X Sushi from the yield farming platform. So basically, the way that the rewards are delegated, it's actually modeled after how Euler had done their LP program, because Euler is also a strategic partner with Manifold, or strategic investor. I've known Gregory for a long time, but it's a personal investment, to be clear. But the way that they did it was, anyone can come into the pool at any time during the beta period between the 16th, which is today, and the 20th of July. And the longer that you're in the pool continuously staking, the longer your exponential score would be, and the more you would have in terms of the percentage of the yield that we get from the Y Cabal beta strategy. And then we'd go into the mainnet on launch, and I think we're most likely going to continue with the LP model, but Sam and I will have discussions to see how effective it was. But it's important to keep the token liquid, and we're providing a fairly safe floor for people who are taking on the risk to be LP providers, and other strategies as we develop them. And I'm not sure if Sam's gotten into any of them, so I'll just not mention them at the moment. But there's other strategies being developed, and the full token scales with those strategies. So the goal is, from a Manifold's perspective, to be improving these inefficiencies within the middleware, and taking a front seat to supporting the Yearn and Sushi ecosystem. And as we develop these strategies and expand our profile within that ecosystem, so do the opportunities that full token holders are able to get in the form of yield. So it's very interesting in terms of the value exchange that's happening between LP providers and full token holders, and the strategies themselves.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, thank you very much for all of that. I think that's been very elaborative.
Yeah, thanks. The only thing I'd add is it's probably better to also mention it's not just APY, it's also a mix of dividends, since it's paying out fees. It's not paying out we're not earning interest on lending out assets, because you're not depositing an asset, you're holding an asset. So it's a little bit just a little slight difference in nomenclature, but that's the only thing I would add to what Maddie said.
Okay, awesome. So, and between the 16th to the 20th is kind of a key time for people to get involved in this early.
Yep.
So
in our community.
Yeah. So get after it.
Yep.
Yeah.
We'll be launching our forms actually later this week as well. And I'll be sure to post that information on our Twitter and Telegram. So if you're interested in also developing or offering some sort of strategy through Manifold, we'll be releasing a program later on in the month in which we'll be it's not a grant program per se, but it's basically helping developers de-risk, the cost of developing strategies, because that's one of the issues that Yearn is dealing with, is that there's an upfront cost to developing a strategy, but the benefit of the strategy payout is over a period of time. So that's one of the ways that we're looking to help expand the ecosystem, by deleveraging the actual upfront cost for developers to pursue strategy development, by providing a financing sort of way in which a portion of your performance fees will be delegated to us. In exchange, we'll pay for things up front for you, like an audit or whatever. So that's just one of the programs that we're working on internally.
Wow, you guys are just here to help. You guys are just helping the whole ecosystem.
Yeah, we're here to help win, right? Yeah. we're here to win. We're not here to to do any sort of like half-ass sort of thing. But yeah, we're definitely big fans of the Yearn ecosystem. So that's where we're putting our cards to play.
Perfect. Amazing. Just going back into the AMA text questions here, we've got when will the single asset fold be available? No. Oh, I thought. Oh, yeah, single asset fold staking.
So that should be available a little bit after July 20th.
Okay.
We're just all hands on deck right now on getting Wykaball into a production state. So actually, later today, we expect to have transactional processing, and then by the end of the week, we should actually start generating bundles. So, very exciting times.
Yeah, very good. Very good. Is Batman using Wykaball? Batman.
I thought it was worth that. I thought it was worth adding on to the last question, just really quick. Back to what I had said before, we're still kind of speaking about how a single token delegator operates within the system, because it is important to bootstrap liquidity, and we want to see what the success of the liquidity program is during the beta stage over the next month or so. So we may see, and this is still fluid in discussions, but we may see a hybrid model where, let's say, like 75% goes to LP and 25% is just arbitrary, would go to token holders, because the LP providers, they take on the most risk, while token holders, they just hold tokens. So
right.
It's important that we meet the needs of liquidity long term, and then maybe in the future, where liquidity maybe is not such an issue, we go to a more balanced token delegation and LP strategy. But it's something that I think Manifold's still discussing internally.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, any other questions?
We've got another one here. And are the rewards from the LP beta going to be split among liquidity providers, including the team wallet providing initial liquidity, or
no?
Okay.
The team wallet will be excluded.
Okay. If it includes
good question.
If it includes the initial liquidity, I think the rewards.
We're not.
Yeah, perfect.
No.
All right. Will traders need to opt out to use Wykaball on Sushi Swap?
If they want to opt out, there will be a.
Kind of lost you there.
It's
and maybe I actually phrased it wrong. I said, will traders need to opt to use Wykaball? So maybe just touching on that, it's an opt-in, or it's an opt.
It's an automated opt-in, and like we said, we're very cognizant of not introducing any additional block settlement latency in submissions of trades. So there should be zero additional block settlement time, ideally. But that's what we're aiming for. And like I said, if it doesn't match certain heuristics, or if it's there'll potentially be a setting where it's just where you can like check a box to just automatically send it to the mempool. You'll have that option, but for right now, it's based on automated heuristics. So if it doesn't match the liquidity pools that we're providing service to initially, or if it's a trade that doesn't meet our parameters, it'll automatically be sent to the private mempools that we've arranged.
Right.
Other than that, you shouldn't notice any additional confirmation time.
There's also, to add on to that, there's a great website that someone just passed to me today called mev.tax. I just posted it into the AMA text questions chat, and it can show you how much you've actually been targeted and lost from on-chain arbitrage, and how much systems like Manifold, and actually just mainly Manifold, since they're somewhat unique in what they're doing in terms of the refund stuff. They're able to utilize this website to see how much they're being exploited for by just using the normal system, and how much they could be saving in gas fees. For me personally, it was somewhere close to $50,000, right? And that's a lot of money. So
That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money, and Yeah, and I'm not a super huge power user. I'm moving weight,
Mm-hmm.
So it's
moving some
but
weight. But
yeah, moving
we'll
some weight.
also and next week we'll also have like Grafana dashboards and stuff like that as well. So you'll actually see in real time how much we're processing, how much we're saving users,
Mm.
and then you'll also have we'll have a Swagger API in which you can check the status of your trade,
Mm-hmm.
and you can also query and see those sort of statistics as well. The individual account based statistics might be a week or two, but the Grafana dashboards will be up by next week, and you'll be able to see that stuff in real time.
Awesome. Yeah, that's amazing. And that kind of just ties into this other question here, I think, a little bit, that Dean Mark has been asking about. Are any of the team working on planning to work visualizations to help understand the offerings?
Yes,
Or
yes,
perhaps,
yes.
Oh, well,
Yep,
yeah.
yep. We're actually we're about to hire a full-time front-end person, and that person will be working with the Sushi team as well to make sure that it's all copacetic. So
Awesome.
we're very cognizant of making this as user friendly and as easy as possible.
Awesome. Okay, another one here was we're worried about impermanent loss outweigh the rewards. What do you think of this probability? Will be good if can list out the
Yeah, let me jump in on this one because I can see this. I mean,
nice.
It's important to note that like Manifold cannot give guarantees of profitability, etc. People get fees from LPing in general. On top of that, you're getting access to the Y Cabal strategy profit share. You're getting access to the X Sushi yield pool, and then you get access to future strategy profits as well, which are in the works right now. So we can't really say what the probability of being profitable for you is. All we can say is that we're trying to provide opportunities for people to have a stable floor for themselves.
Awesome. Okay.
I've got to jump here in a few minutes, so.
Yeah, all good. If anyone has any questions from the room here, any verbal questions, please raise your hand. Love to have any input from everyone here. Also seeing just in the chat here, Maddie, are you looking at the chat as well?
Yep.
Yeah, cool. I think they're just.
And I have a few minutes to stick around if Sam has to bounce as well, but
yeah.
Yeah, sure. If you need to go, Sam, you take off. But yeah, really appreciate your time with all of this. This is
yeah. And if there's any questions Maddie can't answer, I'll be sure that they're answered on Twitter. Maddie will just send those over to me. But I appreciate the time and really I'm excited to see this through. So we'll send out some details later today as well. Mm-hmm. And if you have any questions or comments, or if you find any bugs in the system, especially if you submit a trade and it does not go through, please reach out to us on Telegram. We'll be sure to resolve that and to make it right. So I appreciate your time and hope to hear from you guys soon.
Yeah, awesome.
Awesome. Thank you again.
You bet.
See
Thanks, Sam. Yeah. Okay. One other thing here, Dean was asking: is there any specific you were looking for from the community in terms of support?
Yeah. Sure. Yeah, and shout out to Dean. We go pretty far back.
Nice.
Great guy. But the in terms of community support right now, the liquidity provision bootstrapping program is really awesome. We just ask people to spread the word. There's a lot of people getting exploited for arbitrage on chain, and they don't really understand it. I don't necessarily agree. I hear pundits all the time in the social media space being like, well, most people only know about Dogecoin. I actually think that Gen Zs and millennials are much better at having some underscored research. So I think people understand to some degree when their transactions are failing, they're seeing, that the transactions aren't going through and they're paying these gas costs, and it's an issue for them, right? So I think that to spread the word and have people understand, like, hey, guess what, guys? In about a month, if you come to Sushi Swap and trade on Sushi Swap, then you're gonna be able to have gasless fees if someone tries to target you for arbitrage, and that's very powerful,
No,
right?
100%.
And as we move in the V2, things like Blocks Natives and other great platforms are going to be able to have more of a reputation base. So then Manifold can actually cover the gas up front, which is even more powerful. So I think from a community perspective, just spread the word, let people know that Manifold's out there, and that that we're going to be bringing a better user experience to a great AMM like Sushi Swap and an ecosystem like Sushi Swap. Someone had asked in the chat, I think they said that the beta rewards claim from another UI. As Sam had mentioned before, he had to hop off. In the process of onboarding a really amazing UI designer for the front-facing DApp. He has an amazing background. Some of it connected with OKX. Still in the finalization phases of that, so I don't want to get ahead of myself. But in the beta phase, the yield from the Y Cabal strategy will most likely be airdropped at the conclusion of the beta phase. You can stake your LP directly through the Sushi UI for the X Sushi from their yield farming section. But when the mainnet goes live, and you heard Sam talking about it just briefly, he said he's getting up a kind of like a data dashboard that'll show all this cool data and stuff. That'll just be like kind of the first iteration of what they hope to achieve by creating a front-facing DApp and allowing individuals to be able to come to that DApp and stake directly and then just claim from a smart contract. But all of that takes development work, and we need the UI to be good, because there's a lot of when you're a top tier DeFi product, some of that really stems from the aesthetics of what these platforms are putting out in terms of look and feel. So we want to make sure that that's done right, as well as the backend.
Awesome. Well, that's sounds like you guys got a rock solid plan here. I mean, this is only beneficial. It's amazing. So if anyone else has questions from the audience, please raise your hand. I'd love to have you up here, ask what you need to, and see.
Yeah, so I think someone said, can community members also set up and maintain a node/server for the mainnet?
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe that's how the system works. So let me actually just take an opportunity here to go over the system workflow without getting too deep into the tech stack. So basically you're a trader on Sushi Swap and you want to go buy something. Normally what happens is you would either get targeted for arbitrage or you wouldn't. And the way arbitrage would work is that the price on Sushi for whatever you're purchasing has a different price somewhere else. Let's say on Kyber Swap, on Uniswap, etc. And the person who's arbitraging you, or the bot that's monitoring your transactions on chain, there's a profit opportunity to basically buy it on one exchange, sell it on the other, or whatever the order is, right? Now, people will also leverage flash loans to expand their size and minimize their risks, so that the arbitrage opportunity will cancel itself if it is no longer present. So it basically batches it into a transaction. Not really going to go too far into that, but it's just important to understand that context. Now, in the current way that things are, and this isn't specific to Sushi Swap, this is on every DEX and on any on-chain transaction. But the way that it currently works is that the person would front run you and then back run you in a sandwich attack. And there's a chance that if your slippage wasn't set high enough because of the increase in price before you got in for price finality, then that transaction could fail. So you could be paying double the gas cost and a higher price if your transaction failed and you went to go purchase that asset again, which is terribly inconvenient as a user, right? So what we do is, instead of forcing everyone to submit their transactions to a public mempool and have to get in line and allow people to kind of go up and down the line and check, oh, what's your transaction doing, buddy? Like that's very invasive. Instead, we partner with private mempools to send those transactions to the private mempools, and then that gives you not only price finality, and it drastically lowers the chance of you having failed transactions or people targeting you. But at the same time, we create a strategy based off this and give a portion of that strategy profits back to the user in the form of a refund. So if their transaction would have been front run, we instead facilitate that profit and then give you the fee back and also reward the parties in play, the miners who are mining your transactions, the Manifold governance holders, and the Sushi Swap ecosystem. And then that person gets free transactions on that transaction. If their transaction isn't eligible for arbitrage, it still gets sent to the private mempool and still gives you that anonymity or that protection from anyone who would decide to potentially target you and have you suffer from those poor user experiences that people are having on Sushi Swap. So there's no real like nodes running, right? So there's no like node server staking. That's kind of more like for maybe someone who's doing like a validation network or an actual blockchain. We're using like a full architecture stack with a KDB plus backend, which is used by big companies like KX and First Derivatives, and I think also BitMEX uses it for their order matching engine. So we're creating a full stack end-to-end plug and play proprietary system that gives back to the people. It's very similar as Sam likes to refer to it as. He refers to it as the kind of like the Robin Hood of crypto, where Citadel basically licenses their trades get licensed out to a clearinghouse like Citadel to provide better quality usage for end users, right? So it's a huge paradigm shift of how we look at natural on-chain trading, and where we go from here to evolve the DeFi system so that people aren't getting front run left and right. We're helping to clear bandwidth that's happening on chain because now people aren't getting front and back run as much. So instead of one transaction becoming 3 transactions, it's now one private transaction. I love to refer to it as the DSL for crypto. We've been working in a broadband mentality for a long time, where everyone's feeding to one centralized pipeline, and now we're kind of saying, okay, well, people are going to get their own individual pipeline, so that the negatives that come from broadband in terms of bandwidth usage and fees going up for everyone, we can solve a major problem in a scalable way.
Amazing. Yeah, thank you so much for that elaborate answer. That's you covered a lot, and I don't know, it just like this sounds too good to be true in a way, So
yeah, I think this is what happens slowly over time. People come up with great ideas, and they just come out of nowhere. It's like you have this feeling that there's no tomorrow. Like, because I remember back when gas fees were like $100, $200, and I was like, is this ever going to end? But we knew people would come out with unique, genuine solutions that solve the biggest problems. And for me, the greatest solutions that of our time, especially in crypto, they all come from incentivization, including Bitcoin, right? How do we incentivize all the relevant parties to be good actors within the network? That's literally Bitcoin's premise, right? And if you look at what's happening with the Y Cabal and MEV and how we integrate with Sushi, who are the parties? You have the end user, you have the exchange, you have the miners, you have the people who are doing the arbitrage. That they're all part of a natural market dynamic. See, this is the difference that I think some of the quote unquote experts miss when they talk about MEV. They're like, well, why would I allow someone to do that? Well, the reason you would allow someone to do that is because these market participants are naturally doing this in real time. This is the natural part of what our market is. So how do we redefine that paradigm? We do it with incentive. We incentivize all parties to break from current tradition or break from what we're doing now and pivot into what the future is, which is inviting the end user into the conversation so we can clean up the ecosystem and make it better so they're not being negatively impacted. Because at the end of the day, what Sushi's main priority is its users and its traders, and making sure that user experience is good and making sure that people aren't getting ripped off or getting targeted by arbitrage or paying absorbent amounts of fees. Like in this example where I told you, like last year I paid $50,000 due to MEV transactions and probably vampire attacks, right? That's substantial. You're saving me $50,000. I already have to pay taxes on my gains, right? now I have to pay $50,000 out to a bunch of arbitragers. It's ridiculous. And on top of that, you're clogging the entire network because you're basically tripling all the fees, or you're basically tripling all the amount of transactions that are happening, because anytime there's an arbitrage opportunity, someone creates 2 additional transactions. And that creates more of a supply and demand priority system, and that ramps up gas fees, right? So it's very important to understand like the paradigm pivot and why it's coming from an incentive model.
Yeah, this the depth that you've gone with all this is incredible. It's this thing makes so much sense. So, like, way to go. Yeah.
Let me just run through some of the questions here so we can catch up.
Sure thing.
Has this already been asked? And are the rewards from the LP going to be split among liquidity providers? Yeah. So in the beta version, and I'll reiterate it, but in the beta version, it'll be LP providers. As we head towards the mainnet, Manifold will be discussing internally, how they want to reward direct delegation and what how important the LP provisions will be, because we want to make sure that the LP is being increased. They're the ones who are taking on the most risk. We want to incentivize the LP to have the token be more liquid, but at the same time, we also understand like LP does not directly benefit small token holders, right? So how do we incentivize small token holders to also be a part of the process in terms of just wanting to hold the token? So I think that there's and this is what I've conveyed to Sam, but he'll obviously make the ultimate decision. I think the incentive mechanism comes down to making sure that there's enough meat on the bone for LP providers, because they're a critical portion of what we're trying to achieve on that front, but also making sure that there's meat on the bone for smaller players who necessarily either don't have the capital to provide LP or don't want to take on that sort of risk because they get such a small portion of the pie. I think right now it's really good because we have the Sushi program as well, which adds additional stability. But yeah, there will be more information fleshed out in due time. Let's see here. The team wallet will be excluded. I made sure to convey that to Sam early on. Thanks for the elaborate answer. Maddie, have you been involved from the start? I mean, I've been friends with Sam dating back to 2017. So I've known him for a long time, and he came to me originally with the idea, and it was in a different form, as most early startups are. We were working on something different at the time, and I said, I'm just really busy because I've taken a step back from content creation, and now I'm working with my partner David at Marshland Capital, and we're doing incubation and advisement. So I was very busy in Q3 and Q4 as most of the funds were. I'm sure you're aware of. But then he kind of came back to me and said, hey, look, I've refined the vision. I'm a little bit more clear. And I said, you know what? Yeah, this really makes a lot of sense, but I think that it needs a lot of work. So, a lot of people don't realize that we've been working on this probably since October, right? So after the MISO sale, we felt a big sigh of relief because we had been literally, busting our ass for 8+ months. Mm-hmm. They've been doing development. We've been working on, what the go-to-market strategy looks like, and it's just been a lot of work, daily updates. Like normally, I mean, I'm not gonna say normally, but normally I don't do daily stand-ups because I have so many projects that I'm managing. But I recognize from an early stage that this project was unique and special, and I also know that Sam's like a borderline genius, right? So I was like, okay, this is something different. I think I feel that I need to be just more engaged on this. So yeah, I've been involved since pretty much the very beginning, shaping the narrative. I've taken a lot of the calls with the funds that we had originally pitched the idea to. It was pretty awesome to bring on P2P.org as the lead investor, as well as support from Lido. We were able to bring on cool mining pools as well, and set them up with introductions to guys like ArcherDAO and Keeper. And we had other great funds. Leslie from GBV has been hands down amazing. I cannot say enough about his support and his vision to want to make this product a huge success, and the benefits that it brings to the ecosystem. Genesis Block Ventures is one of those funds for me that they really care about pushing the needle forward. There's people in the space that just want to deploy capital. And then there's people in the space who, yes, they want to deploy capital and make money, but there's also a higher calling, right? And I think the reason why Leslie and I get along so much is because we've been in the space for so long, and we want to push things forward and have amazing products come out. And they're not all going to succeed, but Manifold is definitely a different beast. So he's been super helpful in helping with that vision as well. So definitely, I want to give him a shout out for that. Let's see here. I've been looking at WETH Fold trades via DEX tools, and there's always a pair of buy and sells, which sandwiched another buy order. All three trades executing in the same second. Is that what you mean by arbitrage trades by bots? So I don't believe that Manifold is trading somewhere else. There's opportunities to. There's two types of arbitrage. There's a vampire attack, and then there's like real arbitrage. Real arbitrage is like there's price trading somewhere else, and there's a difference between the price and you're capitalizing off of that. A vampire attack is like there's a transaction going through. That person can position two transactions at a certain speed, come in the front, pump the price up. You then buy, and then they sell the price off your liquidity. They make a small margin. That's more of a vampire or sandwich attack. By sending your transaction to the private mempool, you prevent both of these because the transaction gets finalized, but then it just gets posted to the blockchain as information over the next few blocks, and then your refund gets processed within, I think, a 30-block period. In the future, Block Native will just have a reputation system, so we'll be able to give you that refund directly at the point of sale. But the point is that by going to the private mempool, you're preventing these individuals who aren't giving you anything back. Like, think about the paradigm. These people are basically exploiting you and making your user experience worse for their own profit, only themselves, right? And the paradigm change that Manifold is putting out there is saying, hey, we want to invite all of these network or these market participants into the fold, create an incentive system, and provide that reward back to you, especially for Sushi Swap and your ecosystem, because that's where Sam's primary focus is at the moment. So, yeah.
Awesome.
Is Wide Cabal live? Or I think I skipped a question. What was the whitelist we applied for on June 6th? That's a question that I will have to direct to Sam. So I'll put that down and have him answer that on Twitter. I'm not sure. I did see that go up, but I was on vacation for a week after I had worked a long time, so I wanted to catch some beach time. Is Waikabal live? If yes, why this WETH fold is still experiencing this arbitrage vampire attack? So the beta starts today, and I'm not sure if the beta expands to all pairs right now. So I think originally Sam wanted the top 25. You have to understand, you want to start with the big liquidity pools and then kind of trickle down into the smaller ones over time. That's the real point of the beta. And the reason for that is because things are a lot cleaner when you have a lot of liquidity, but there may be issues as you get down that need to get fixed, like small minor bugs. So I'm not sure the full extent of the of what's live, but right now the beta has just started today, to my knowledge, and I can have Sam maybe go into more elaborate detail on that. But I don't think all pairs are currently under test. So I think they're going to be doing different tests in different areas. So it's important to note that the beta experience will be much different. Will be much different than the public experience. But I'll make sure that Sam puts out at least some sort of information on Twitter that details, how Manifold will be handling vampire attacks and at what stage will users be protected from that, unless they opt out, obviously. Does Manifold have plans to expand to other competing exchanges outside of Sushi Swap, i.e. Uniswap? It seems to me like having Manifold operating on Sushi gives Sushi a competitive advantage, thus distinctive for Manifolds to integrate into other dexes from Sushi's standpoint. I mean, this is a really great question. It works both ways. Sam's intent right now, because he worked alongside some great people in the Urine ecosystem, with his GIFs proposal and X48 as an advisor as well to the project from Yearn, and his his relationship with Sushi, and from what I can tell from Sam, everything he speaks to me, he loves the relationship with Sushi and Maki and the guys. So I think that for now he plans to operate within that ecosystem to make sure that he's pushing that forward. I mean, to be honest, the Yearn and Sushi ecosystem is a large portion of DeFi, right? So you could say, yeah, there will be a competitive advantage for now. Manifold is a plug and play, proprietary tool. So in the future, if Sam decides to go wherever he wants to, that's his choice. But his intent, from the conversations I've had with him, is to maintain his allegiance within the Sushi and Yearn ecosystem and grow together. Because there's a lot of opportunity for both of us to scale. Sam's a brilliant mind, and when people see what some of the other strategies that are coming out, partnered with the Yearn and Sushi ecosystem, the scary part is that Y Cabal is actually smaller than one of the strategies that's coming up, and Y Cabal is pretty huge. So when that strategy comes out, people are going to be like, "Wow, that's insane! How did you even pull that off?" Right? So, there's a lot of opportunity for Sam's ideas to flourish, I think, with a partnership with Sushi, and there's a lot of things that Sam can give to Sushi as well that he's been working on behind the scenes that a lot of people don't even see. So I think for now, and in the immediate future, his intent is to maintain that competitive advantage because it's just the relationship makes sense.
Awesome.
Is it possible to still join the beta program? I have my fold in my MetaMask. So the beta program, you don't need to be in at the beginning. It's based on how long you stake or how long you LP for. You get a higher exponential score, but anyone can join at any point. So you could join tomorrow. You could join on the last day. It's just that the longer that you stake, the higher your score will be, and the higher your score is, the more you will make from your proportional piece of the strategy.
Awesome. There's a couple more.
Yep.
The snapshot at 12 UTC.
I think the term snapshot is a little. I think the term snapshot in this context is a little misleading.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll talk with the marketing guys, because a snapshot would, by definition, mean that I'm taking a snapshot today, and then I'll take a snapshot at the end. That's not what we're doing. We're analyzing everyone who's adding LP and how long they're adding LP between those dates. So when it says snapshot, it's more referring to saying, like, we'll be looking at this block to this block, right? Mm-hmm. Whatever block is relatively close to that timestamp, we'll be starting at that block, and then whatever block is relatively close to the last timestamp, we'll be going to that block, and then we'll just be saying, okay, who provided LP, how long did they provide that LP, and then we plug that into the formula, and then you get a score, and then your score is divided by the total amount, the total sum of all scores, and that's your proportion of the strategy.
Got it. Cool. Well, this has been amazing. Anyone else from the audience have any questions? I'd love to get you up here. But there's been a lot of stuff covered here from Maddie and Sam, and I don't know. I'm super excited for everything you guys got going on here.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we definitely appreciate you guys bringing us on for the AMA, expanding the narrative, and being a strategic partner with us as well.
Yeah, awesome. I'm going to just send out some popes right now. I'm going to see if... those should be coming through here in a few seconds. Just if you see something that comes from Pope Spreader, that is the popes for the proof of attendance protocol for actually attending this AMA. So I appreciate everyone coming out to do that. Hopefully these go through here. Poopster,
cool.
Kandra, I think you're not going to get it from me, so please DM me. It looks like Zapchini won't get it either. And I think a whole bunch of you should, though. Oh, Hebe, I don't think you're going to get it. So if you guys reach out to me afterwards, you should be able to should be able to get it. So hopefully all those came through. But like I say, if you didn't get one, please send me a screenshot and we'll get you set up with one. So
I think this question is more for you, Tango. Will Sushi be doing some promotion of Waikaba?
I'm not sure how much further we're going to be doing with it, but I would imagine it'll be all over Twitter and whatnot because this is, I mean, once this goes live, everybody needs to know about this. So I'm sure it's going to work itself out on Twitter and everyone else. So yeah, I'm not sure about anything specific, but yeah, it definitely needs to be shared. So I'm sure if nothing else, I'll be tweeting it and look forward to seeing everything that comes with this. So yeah, for us new to LP, can you explain simply how it works with ETH Fold? I think that's kind of more of just like a basic LP question then, and maybe.
Yeah. So for those that aren't familiar with LP, I'll just take the time because I've actually mastered the craft of this of this answer over the years. So when you're on a centralized exchange, a market maker has to provide liquidity to basically fill orders on the books. So when I'm buying, there needs to be people who have sell orders for me to buy those tokens, and when I'm selling tokens, there needs to be people who are buying those orders. So on a centralized exchange, a market maker will just use like a bot to put limit orders from their liquidity treasury, kind of go back and forth, and their profit margin comes from discounted fees. So you're actually making money as a market maker to do that. Not to mention building positions over time, etc. On an AMM, there are no limit orders. It's market orders. Though there are some limit orders, I think, on Radium, which was pretty cool. But in the future, hopefully we'll all have limit orders. Right now, it's all market orders, right? So when I provide liquidity, I have to provide 50% of one asset and 50% of the other asset. Typically, the other asset is like Ethereum, USDT, like a base pair, something that's stable, right? And the other asset is either another base pair or it's something like in the example of Fold, which may be a little bit more of a volatile asset because it's still relatively new, right? So I start with 50-50. When the price goes up, that means that when price moves up, there's more people who are buying than selling. So if there's more people who are buying than selling, then the people who are providing liquidity need to sell tokens to them, right? So what will happen to your 50-50 proportion of liquidity is that your tokens will decrease and the amount of base pair you have will increase, so the amount of ETH will increase. When people are selling tokens, that means that there needs to be a buyer to eat that liquidity. So as an LP provider, that means that your ETH or your USDT will go down and you'll take on more tokens because now you're buying tokens. As you get closer back to your base price, let's say right now, let's say the price of Fold was like $13, I think last I checked, right? As you get closer back to that $13, whenever I remove my LP, I would roughly get the same 50-50. But if it goes down in price and I remove my LP, then I would get a bunch more Fold and less ETH. If the price went up, I would get more ETH and less Fold. So really, when you're providing LP, you're actually net long stability because your profit comes from, in this case, one of three things. First, you get a portion of the fees by being a liquidity provider on Sushi to begin with. This is how any AMM works, right? Then with Manifold specifically for this beta program, if you're a part of the beta program, then you get a portion of the Waikaba strategy fees of whatever gets generated there. So then you're getting a little bit of extra. And then you can stake that LP into the X Sushi yield pool on Sushi, and then you can get a little extra there. So originally, if we took those two things away, originally you would have this concept that people refer to as impermanent loss, right? Impermanent loss comes from the fact of if we have volatility and price goes one direction or the other, if the price went up, then I sold tokens and made more ETH. If the price went down, I bought more tokens and sold more ETH, right? So there's going to be a loss there versus what the initial value when you provided the LP, if it's drastically different than the price that you came in at. But you're cushioning that loss with potential other revenue streams and opportunities that you can gain. So, for example, the fees from providing LP in general, being part of the X Sushi yield program, getting a part of the Y Cabal strategy. So that's really how yield farming came about, because we needed to incentivize people to provide LP on these exchanges so that way people could trade on these AMMs and these DEXs. But to do so, we had to incentivize individuals to not take a loss by doing so, right? And this is actually a very critical question when we're talking as a fund. Does a project need LP provisions? Really? Do we need to roll out an LP program? Because not everyone needs to roll out an LP program. That's actually a misconception. If you provide the right amount of liquidity and your price is doing great, the liquidity will expand for you, and whales will see the opportunity to get fees in general. So you don't really need to roll out a program. Mm-hmm. But if you're in like a stagnant market like today, where and for all purposes, for all intent purposes, Manifold is doing extremely well versus 99% of what's coming out. When I'm monitoring projects that are coming out, they're just dropping to like $1 million market cap and falling off. Manifold's been holding steady and has been doing really well. So you have that stability. People have been probably making a ton of fees off of just doing LP, right? But if price is not doing well, then you don't really want to have a high slippage for people for their user experience. So that's when, as a fund or as an advisor or someone, they may say, hey, you know what, maybe we should create an LP program to kind of create some more liquidity within the market and make sure people aren't suffering from those price slippages. So that's really where LP programs come from. I think in general, like, our goal is to make sure that we're fairly liquid and that people have the ability to be able to trade, fold easily for any size. And I think that's been very successful. Like, our liquidity is fine as is for our market cap. And it'll even be better after the LP program. So I think that's why we're having those discussions of how do we want the Y Cabal and future strategy yield? How do we want that distributed? How long do we want to have people doing LP? Where does the right balance come from? These are more nuanced questions that we're having internally and also having with other amazing strategic investors that were part of our sale that are connected with some major DeFi products that have kind of been there and done that, right? And advisors that have been there and done that, so they can give their input on what these programs look like and when we should go heavy on them, when we should pull back. So yeah, it's been an amazing time.
Awesome. Yeah, really good. Thank you so much for all of that as well. It's just a good refresher for anyone as well, and just to know more about the LP for those who are new to it as well. So yeah, and even just as Shasan has mentioned in the chat there. So that's really good. That's really good. We'll have to send people to this video when they're looking for a good breakdown from Maddie.
We'll cut it up and put it out there.
Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you so much. This is I think it's a great time to stop here. It's been over an hour with you guys. So thankful for everything you're doing in this ecosystem and the Sushi Swap and your own ecosystem, as you guys continue to allude to. And hey, looking forward to everything ahead. This sounds like an amazing project. You guys have got an amazing team, it sounds like, and just so thankful with all the information and knowledge that you and Sam have put forth here today. Really appreciate all of that. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate everyone coming out. Great questions today. I always enjoy an opportunity to be able to dig deeper in some of the nuances of what we're trying to accomplish, and really appreciate the support from Sushi Swap side as well, and being a partner of ours in this journey. It's just the beginning.
Right on. And where can everyone find you if they're looking for you, if they don't know already? Where's your website, socials, all that?
Sure. Yeah, so our website is, I'll actually post it into the chat real quick, but awesome. Our website is Manifold Finance. Our Twitter is it's @Fold Finance. Our Telegram is Manifold Finance. You'll see a different photo that's just part of Sam's aesthetic, as you'll see with most people in DeFi. I feel like they all have their own unique personas, right? And then our medium is Manifold Finance. And if anyone has any direct inquiries, there's an email link on our website, and there's also our GitHub, which obviously doesn't have everything public, but there is some information that you can find. So if you check into the chat, here's our different socials. If you want to add that to the transcript as well. And yeah, I think that's a pretty comprehensive view on where everyone can find us and kind of what we're doing.
Awesome. And I think if everyone just goes to manifoldfinance.com, you'll be able to, all the socials are connected there as well. I think there's a list on that. Is there not?
Yeah, Manifold Finance on the bottom left side.
Yeah.
There's like a little left-hand toolbar that scrolls with the website that has all our socials. We also blast our socials at the top and bottom of the page.
Wicked. So, okay. This video is also going to be posted up on YouTube as well in the Sushi official chat. So if anybody missed it or wanted to catch up or a refresher or share with your friends, family, loved ones, all of that, head over to the Sushi official YouTube channel. This will be posted up here soon. You can follow me on Twitter, 0xtangle, for all the latest up-and-coming AMAs and whatnot. And also make sure you check out miso.sushi.com for any upcoming and any of the past MISO auctions. Right now we've got Volatility Protocol and I Bet You are currently live right now. So Volatility I think is nearly finished. So have a look over there. Oh, go ahead.
I'll also take an opportunity for a shameless plug. If you are a project who's looking for hands-on incubation, advising, etc. I'm also a part of Marshland Capital with my partner David. So you can head over to our website to learn more about what we're doing and sign up for our email list.
Awesome. Okay. With that, thank you so much. Appreciate your time. Thanks for everyone here that showed up and being a part of the audience and all the questions and everything. Again, if you didn't get a Pope from me, please, if you didn't get one from the automated batch there earlier, give me a shout on Discord and we'll get you set up. So
awesome.
Alrighty. Thanks everyone. Talk to you soon.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Tango.
All right. Bye-bye.